Now, I regularly see people who've decided to take up running, and it's a very accessible sport and it's very, very good for you. A lot of research shows that it's really good for your joints, it's good for your cartilage in the intervertebral discs in your spine and knees and hips and all that. So all the old myths of, oh, you'll wear your joints out is not correct. However, I still see people who obviously have taken it up and basically gone too hard too soon, too fast too quick, too far too fast, you know, and all that sort of stuff. A lot of different things there. And they break down at a certain point, and you know, there are a lot of these couch to 5K things and so on and so forth. The problem with it is that there's no prerequisite strength, if you like, that is sort of required to take up this activity. People will just literally go, you know, from an office job to being overweight, whatever, and not very conditioned, to just immediately running. So they start off with some running. The problem is that the loads of running with one stride alone are very high. You know, there's been measurements that are around the 12.5 times body weight load per stride within your Achilles tendon, 7 times your body weight roughly on your knee. So there's an awful lot of loads that are going on, and there's no knowledge of that individual or ability of that individual necessarily to tolerate them loads. So even starting off with a very short distance could still be overloading to that individual, which could start the cumulative effect of causing an injury to occur at some point. Not straight away, but at some point. And this is what you do see. So what I would do is I would say to someone, if they came to me and said, look, I want to build up to a 10K, 5K marathon, whatever it is, and I've not ran before, I would say, right, before we even tread on the ground for running, we need to do a few things. Now, as a physio, I would look at a few more things than just, let's just blanketly give you some strengthening work. I would look at, you know, have they got weakness in sort of the glute medius muscle? Is there any, you know, alignment-y sort of issues? And when I say that, I mean more like movement pattern stuff. So if they're hitting the ground, would their knee be going into what we call valgus, where it's cutting in? Are the foot rolling in? Is there certain things that are going on that might actually cause abnormal loading? So rather than vertical loading through your Achilles, you're getting more lateral loading, and same through the knee and so on. So it's looking at the movement patterns and working out why their movement patterns occur that way. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be strength related. Sometimes it can be very extreme biomechanical faults, which obviously can be corrected as well with, say, orthotics or you know, that sort of side. But you would need to look at that, and then that would give you some pointers, right? We target this, we target that, we target that, right? But if you weren't seeing a physio and you just generally wanted to take it up without that specific information, then you would strengthen certain muscles. That would be one I would always go to, gluteus medius, and there's plenty of exercise videos on my channel showing you how you strengthen that, like side planks off the bottom leg and, you know, different things along that nature. Yeah, other stuff is, you know, just generally taking more load through your tendons and joints, you know, because that load is high, as I mentioned, 12.5 times body weight load through your Achilles tendons. So you'd want to be doing some calf raise sort of stuff, you know, to increase load progressively over time. Now, obviously, if you're at home without the equipment, you can use a rucksack on your back, do it on one leg on a step, and then build that weight up progressively, slowly over time. So that weight starts to get higher and higher and higher, so that particular structure can tolerate running. Same with, like, you know, the knees. So things like squats, add weight with a rucksack again if you're at home, lunges, because that's more running orientated, even single leg squatting and things like that. Again, if you can get that sort of stuff going and build up some weight there, then you're in a better place to start running. You then aren't already creating any cumulative overloads to certain structures, which means that you'll build the running up, your fitness generally will increase, and you're less likely to get an injury down the line. So for me, that would be my approach on things. And it doesn't need specialist equipment necessarily. Yes, it's easier if you've got that, you know, you've got access to a gym, but you know, you don't have to. You can add load by being inventive at home and doing that sort of thing. So before, if you want to take up running, before you go there, I would do that first for probably a good 6, if not 12 weeks. I know it sounds a while, but to me, it would take a good chunk of time to develop a significant amount of strength in the structures to tolerate that running, and then start the running. And there's a reason why a lot of these things don't do this, is because people would look at that and go, I want to run, I've decided to run, oh, I've got to do 12 weeks of strength training before I can even run. I don't want to do that. I've got the bit between my teeth now, I want to run. Trouble is though, you've got to be more patient. Otherwise, what happens to you, or more likely to happen, is you go run because you want to, you get onto it, you're motivated, you run too much, you run too much mileage too soon, and you break things down, and then you end up going, I can't run anymore, you know, for a period of time or indefinitely, and that's not a good place to go. So if you want to take it up, you've got to think about the bigger picture and the longer term. So anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time.